Hello everyone, myself and Katie are here today to give you a short presentation on quota in the south in the 7D for the RFG. We hope everyone's well and having a good summer. We've got a few slides to go through for you. On the slides, there are kind of our normal graphs that you see, but just an important note before we get to that is on the slides we have added what the kind of provisional advice percentage changes are for 2025 from ICES. This information is in the yellow boxes on each slide, but as we said, this is kind of a provisional advice at the moment. Quotas will be decided during negotiations later this year, and they are published in the Provisional Secretary of State determination. This is usually published kind of late December time, so we won't know what the actual changes are going to be until then. Um, so the first stock I've got for you is Brill in 7D and E. This stock, we have some different graphs to our normal one. So here we have the left-hand graph is the 10 meter and under monthly uptake, and the right-hand graph is the over 10 meter monthly uptake. So it breaks down the uptake throughout the year into like little building blocks, which is where each color is a different month. So for the under 10s, we started off this year with an allocation of 26.2 tons. Myself and Katie traded in around 20 tons, so that's gone up to about 46. The catch limit is currently at 0.6, and uptake is at 12.5 for the under 10s. For the over 10s, we received 12 in allocation, that's still 12, and uptake is about 4.7. This stock is currently on our catch limit review for the limit to go up, but I'll talk to you more about the catch limit review at the end of the presentation. The IC's advice change for this stock for next year is for a 21% increase. On our next slide, I've got COD 7D here. This is kind of maybe the graphs that you're used to us having. So on the left-hand side, we have what's called our master yearly uptake graph. The blue bar is our initial allocation, orange bar is our current allocation. So the change on that is based on whether we traded quota in or out. And then the grey bar is our uptake. So with this stock, we received an initial allocation of 40, oh no, sorry, we've got a current allocation of 47.5. That's up slightly from what we received initially. And so far, uptake has been 2 tons. On the right hand side, we've got that monthly uptake breakdown. You can see so far the winter fishery was a little bit behind what it has been in previous years. We often don't get a lot over the summer and then get that come back over the winter. So we are prepared for a little bit of a winter fishery if anybody and the catch limit is currently 1 ton for that. So if anybody needs an increase with that or anything, that is something we can look at as we come up to those months. The advice change for next year is for a minus 38% cut to that stock. Next, we have Lemon Soul in 7D. This was a new quota stock for this year. So again, we don't have our master yearly uptake graph for that as there aren't allocations for previous years. What we did receive this year was a 5.1 ton allocation and for the under 10s and a 2.6 ton allocation for the over 10s. In terms of catch limits, they're currently set at 50 kilos for the under 10s and 200 kilos for the over 10s. Uptake is very low. Uptake for the under 10s at 0.2 and for the over 10s just under 100 kilos. There is a change of a cut of this for 30% for next year. This is a stock where we're able to do a little bit of maneuvering around in terms of using some of our North Sea stock and that sort of thing. So it is one we can look at if people are interested in. Next, we have Plaice 7D. So in previous years, as you can see in the little text box in the corner there, this was a combined stock for Plaice 7D and D. This year, there was a change made and it's now been split into the separate 7D and E allocations. So on our graph for 2021, 2022, and 2023, that is the combined amounts we received for Plaice 7D and D. So for the under 10s this year for 7D, we received 65.2 tonnes. Myself and Katie have done some trading and got that allocation up to 145 tonnes. We currently have our catch limit at 3 tonnes, and uptake is 26.7 tonnes. And as you can see from the graph on the right hand side, it's been behind kind of each month. We do sometimes get a bit of that fishery through from August, September, October. So again, that is something that we can look at supporting this year, as we have traded in some quotas. So if anybody would like to see an increase in that catch limit, please do get in touch with myself or Katie. The advice for this one is for a slight increase of 10% to the allocation for next year. We have the same stock now for the over 10s. So again, the graph is the same way for 21, 22, 23. That was the 7DE allocation. And for this year, it's the 7D allocation. This year, we received 8.5. All the quota we've traded in so far is sat in the under 10 meter pool, but myself and Katie can move that into the over 10 meter pool if that is needed, because the current uptake is 7. So I appreciate that while that looks quite close, that's just because the quota is currently sat in the other pool, but we can move that about if needed. And from the right hand graph, you can see that uptake has been slightly behind last year, but it's fairly similar in some months at the start of the year. And again, as this is the same stock, advice changes the same 10%. Next, we have skates and rays in 7D. So this year we received a initial allocation of 269.5. Our current allocation is 277.5 for the under 10s. We have the catch limit currently set at 4 tonnes and uptake is 54.7. In the over 10s, our initial allocation was 34 and the current uptake is 5.7 with a catch limit of 2.5. Again, from the right hand graph, you can see that in January, February, March, uptake was a little bit lower than previous years, and that they're usually when we see the kind of big periods of uptake. Advice for all skates and race stocks isn't published yet. That's due to be issued September, October time. The next stock we've got for you here is undulate ray. So again, as this is a skates and race stock, we've not got any advice for this yet. Now this one we receive a UK allocation rather than it being broken down into the POs and non-POs and for the under 10s and over 10s. So this is just a UK wide allocation. And this year it was 1,358 tonnes. There are restrictions in place through the license schedule on minimum and maximum landing sizes, and there was a close period that ran from May to the end of August. That is currently closed and will open on the 1st of September. We have our catch limit review open, which I mentioned earlier, and we're looking at moving that from a 200 kilo per trip allowance to a 2 ton per month catch limit. So we're looking at bringing that into line with kind of the way we manage other stocks. Uptake so far this year for the whole of the UK is 52 tons. So there's, as you can see there, there's like 1,300 tons of quota that can be used. So the catch limit on this can be movable, but in terms of bringing it in at 2 tons a month, that is kind of based on historically what people have caught with that 200 kilo per trip allowance. But we're just looking to give a bit more flexibility initially in terms of how you can land that and how we manage that in terms of it being similar to the other stocks. So if you are interested in that catch limit review, I've got a link for that at the end for you, but please do get in touch with us. Next stock here is Sol 7D. So for the under 10s, we received a initial allocation of 150. We've traded some quota in, so we now have an allocation of 213 in the under 10s. Over 10s was initially currently 7.3, and we've used 3.9, and in the unders we've used 57.2. So from the right-hand graph, you can see uptake has been a little bit slower than in previous years so far this year. Again, for the over 10 meter pool, we can move quota into there. And the IC's advice change for this stock is for a 20% cut for next year. So this is one we, over the last year or two, have had to trade in, and we can continue looking at doing so for next year. Western mackerel, we generally receive quite a large allocation of this for both the under and over 10s. So for the under 10s this year, we received an initial allocation of 969 tons. We've currently got 385. This is one of the stocks that we primarily use as a trading tool, so this would have helped us get that sole traded into the pool. And in the over 10s, we have a current allocation of 318. Uptake is 42 tons in the under 10s and just 130 kilos in the over 10s. And advice change for this stock is also due in September, October. The final stock we have for you is herring 4C7D. So we again trade in some of this stock. Initially we had just about 780. We've traded in about 140 of those, so up to just under 920. In the under 10s, in the over 10s, we've got 220 at the minute. Catch limits for both of these stocks, for both the unders and overs, is at 50 tons, and uptake so far 150 in the unders and 61 in the overs. As you can see, the graph on the right hand side, we tend to get this stock very much seasonally in kind of two windows, so February, March, and then sometimes again we get another seasonal uptake kind of November, December time. We like to be able to trade this stock in to keep the catch ups high, to give the opportunity if the kind of seasons do come around. Advice change for this stock for next year is for a 26% cut. So I've got mine and Katie's contact information here, so please do get in touch with us if you've got any questions about any of the stocks here today, or if there's anything that you would like to see added to these presentations in terms of stocks that isn't currently there. Yeah, please do get in touch with us however you prefer. We are happy to be contacted anyway, be it email, text, call. And as promised, here is the information for the catch limit review for September. So the September 24 catch limit review is currently live. There is the suggested change on there for Brill, and there's also some information on there about the suggested change for undulate ray as well. So you can have a look on there for some more information on them. But if you do have any further questions about it, please do get in touch with myself or Katie. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a lovely afternoon.